I don't really believe in intuition, or at least I didn't. Not until recently. You know that quiet, nagging feeling you get in your chest sometimes? The one that whispers, "Something's off?" That voice had been crawling under my skin for weeks, and no matter how many times I told myself I was being paranoid, it refused to go away. I'm 25. She's 21. We'd only been official for a couple of months, but I'd known her for longer than that. We met through mutual friends at a local community event, and from the very beginning, she had this magnetic energy. She was the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking in. I mean, she had this laugh, this pure, uninhibited laugh that made you want to be the reason she used it again. When we started talking, everything felt new, exciting, effortless. She was sweet, spontaneous, a little wild, but in a way that made me feel alive. So when I asked her to be my girlfriend in early May, I was pretty sure I'd hit the jackpot. But soon after that, things started to feel different, just slightly. Her phone would light up more often, and she'd glance at it with this tiny smile, the kind you try to hide but never quite succeed in. Whenever I asked who it was, she'd casually say something like, "Just a friend from the gym," and leave it at that. I didn't want to be that guy, you know, the jealous boyfriend who turns every interaction into a potential betrayal. But the more I tried to brush it off, the more that voice inside me started to grow. It wasn't just the phone. It was the way she suddenly seemed more interested in how she looked when going to the gym. She used to throw on a hoodie and leggings, but now she'd spend 20 minutes picking an outfit and doing her makeup for a workout. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but I noticed. One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the bed. I didn't look. I swear I didn't, but I stared at it for minutes. My heart was beating faster just thinking about what could be on the other side of that screen. I didn't know her passcode at the time, or maybe I just hadn't tried to know it. But that night, curiosity began its slow, steady descent into obsession. Couldn't sleep. I started wondering, who was this guy from the gym? Why was she texting him so often? Why did her smile look different when she read his messages? It wasn't just jealousy, it was instinct. Something had shifted. I could feel it. She was still affectionate with me, still sweet, still made plans, kissed me goodnight, texted me good morning. But there was a small crack in everything, a delay in her replies, a change in tone, a distance that hadn't been there before. And maybe the worst part? I couldn't talk to anyone about it. How do you tell your friends, "I think my girlfriend might be emotionally cheating on me"? They'd probably say I was insecure, that I was overthinking it, and maybe I was. At least that's what I told myself, until the day I saw her enter her passcode, quickly, subconsciously, and my brain memorized it before I even realized what I was doing. I didn't plan to use it, but eventually I did. I held the knowledge like a ticking time bomb, her passcode. It lived in the back of my mind, whispering possibilities. I didn't ask for it. I didn't snoop. I just saw it one afternoon, clear as day, while she was distracted unlocking her phone. 4 digits. Innocent looking, but they burned themselves into my memory. I told myself I'd never use it, that I was better than that I trusted her, that even thinking about going through someone's phone was a violation of trust, not just theirs, but mine too. But the feeling wouldn't go away. We were lying in bed one evening and she was scrolling through Instagram. I glanced over, not even trying to snoop, just casually. A message popped up at the top of the screen. It was from a guy I didn't recognize. The preview showed a string of emojis. One of them was a kissy face. She tilted the phone slightly away from me and locked it. That night, while she slept next to me, curled up like nothing in the world could bother her, I stared at the ceiling for hours. My heart was pounding, but not from love, from doubt, from fear, from the horrible realization that I was losing something, someone, and I didn't even know why. And that's when I did it. My hands moved before my brain could stop them. Picked up her phone, glanced over at her. She was fast asleep, breathing softly, peacefully. I entered the code. It unlocked. My stomach dropped. I don't know what I expected to happen. Alarms blaring, guilt rushing in like a tidal wave, a sense of immediate regret. But it was quiet, too quiet. I opened Instagram first. It was the app she was always on. I checked her DMs. And that's when I found him. His name was familiar. I remembered her mentioning a guy from the gym, someone she'd known for years, but always called just a friend. I'd even met him once in passing. He was fit, charming in that effortless, flirty way. I remembered the way he hugged her, a little too tight, a little too long, but I didn't want to be that guy, so I let it go. The messages only went back to me, which was odd. She told me they'd been friends for years. Why would old messages be gone? Deleted? Archived? Already, my mind was spiraling. Then I started reading. The first message was from him. Yo, you looked fire today. That dress, damn. Her reply? Haha, stop smiling face with hearts, thank you. Okay, harmless maybe. But then I scrolled further. You've got that sweet little smile that drives people crazy. You should stop posting thirst traps, girl. I'm trying to behave. Bet your legs taste like honey bot, I'd nibble them if I could. And her replies? Not exactly shutting it down. Elmayo, your crazy grinning face with sweat. I'm just trying to stay in shape, smiling face with halo. Stop weary face with tears of joy. Mixed in with thank you smiling face with hearts and I missed you today and I like this side of you smirking face. Then came the photos. Videos. Some of them were of her at the gym, working out, sweat on her forehead, angles that looked deliberate. Others were selfies from her bedroom. Morning hair, soft lighting, just a sports bra and panties. I knew those looks. I'd received those looks. Now she was giving them away. Then she sent him a mirror selfie in a new dress. Captioned, "What do you think? Too much?" He replied, "If that's too much, I want more." I put the phone down. Couldn't breathe. Was this cheating? She hadn't said, "I love you." She hadn't asked to meet up behind my back. But this wasn't innocent. It wasn't harmless. It wasn't nothing. She let it happen. She encouraged it. She flirted back. Maybe not with the same intensity, but with just enough spark to keep the fire going. And the worst part? I knew I wasn't supposed to know. I wasn't even supposed to be looking. So how do you confront someone about betrayal when you betrayed them first? I sat there in the dark, her phone heavy in my hands, and asked myself the question I'd never wanted to ask. What if the girl I love isn't who I thought she was? I wish I'd stopped there. I wish I'd just locked her phone, slid it back onto the nightstand, and pretended I'd never seen any of it. That maybe I was overreacting. That maybe a few flirty messages were forgivable. But once you open that door, you can't close it. Not really. Curiosity doesn't go away, it multiplies. So I kept scrolling. I needed to know how far it went. I needed the truth even if it broke me. Their messages were frequent. Like daily. Sometimes multiple times a day. Morning greetings. Late night conversations. Inside jokes. Photos. Voice notes. It was like they had their own private relationship running in parallel to ours. One message stuck with me because of the timing. It was the night I asked her to be my girlfriend. I remember it so clearly. We were watching a movie at her place, eating takeout, her head on my chest. I looked at her and said, "I don't want to see anyone else. I want to be with you. Just you." She smiled, kissed me, said yes. But right before that, literally minutes before, she had messaged him, "Wish you were here to see this dumb movie with me. You'd probably make it more fun." Face with tears of joy. He replied, "Anything's better when you're around." Winking face. And she replied, "You're smooth, huh?" Face blowing a kiss. Then nothing for a while. I assumed she put her phone down after that. Maybe when I asked her to be mine. That moment was supposed to be ours. Now it felt like I'd stolen it from someone else. As I scrolled further, things got worse. There were voice notes of him teasing her, calling her his gym girl. One time, he told her that if he had a girlfriend like her, he'd never let her go to the gym alone. "Too many eyes on you," he said. She laughed, sent a selfie of her in tight leggings with the caption, "Can't help it if they look see no evil monkey." Another time, she sent a video, not sexual but intimate, her in a new bra modeling in front of the mirror. She giggled, said something like, "Do you like this color on me?" He replied with a fire emoji and said, "Don't tempt me, tempt him. What about me? What was I? The safe choice? The boyfriend? The one who got to show up in Instagram stories while this other guy got the flirty messages, the private snaps, the "I miss you when you're not here" texts, I started noticing patterns. Whenever she had a bad day and I wasn't around, she messaged him. If we had a fight, even something small, she'd DM him later that night, sometimes venting, sometimes just posting something flirty like, "Wish I was with someone fun right now," unamused face. And he'd always reply, "I got you. You know where I'm at. I treat you right." One message, just one, nearly broke me. "If we had met first, I think things would be really different." She wrote that to him. And he responded, "Maybe it's not too late for that." What was that supposed to mean? I put the phone down again. I'd seen enough, more than enough. But my mind was racing with questions. Was this just emotional cheating? Had they met up behind my back? Were they hooking up at the gym? Were those check-in selfies really just friendly? Every part of me wanted to scream, to wake her up and demand answers, to shake her and say, "Why?" But I didn't. Instead, I sat there in silence, watching her sleep, feeling like a stranger in my own relationship. How do you look someone in the eyes the next day, knowing what you know, knowing they're not just yours? I didn't even know who I was more angry at, her for leading this double life or myself for falling for the illusion. They say hindsight is 20/20ths, but no one tells you how painful that clarity feels when it shows up all at once, like a flood that drowns every happy memory you thought you could hold on to. After reading those messages, I couldn't sleep, not just because of the betrayal, but because my mind wouldn't stop playing reruns of our relationship like scenes from a movie I thought I knew, only to realize someone had been editing the script behind my back the whole time. I started questioning everything. That first time we went on a weekend trip together, the cabin in the woods, the fireplace, the way she curled up next to me and told me I made her feel safe. I remember thinking I'd never been happier. But now I wondered, did she text him while I was in the shower that night? Was she sharing selfies with him even while holding my hand under the stars? There was a gym selfie I remember clearly, her in a black sports bra, hair tied back, a little sweat on her collarbone. She sent it to me once, told me she wanted me to see how hard she was working. I remember saving that photo, smiling at it like an idiot. Now I knew she sent it to him first, with a different caption. His response? "How do you expect anyone to focus in the gym looking like that?" She replied with a heart. That memory used to make me feel lucky. Now it made me feel hollow. Even the way she talked about him, I could see it now, playing like a montage in my head. The little jokes she'd make. "Oh, that's just Mark, he's such a clown. He's like a brother to me. We've just known each other for years, it's not like that." But her voice always had this tone. Light, casual, a little too quick to dismiss. I told myself not to read into it at the time. I thought I was being respectful, giving her space, not being possessive. Now I realized I was being played. And the worst part? She didn't even have to lie. Not really. All she had to do was omit. Keep it quiet. Act like everything was normal. Smile a little softer when she looked at me. Say, "I love you," like she meant it. And I would have believed her. God, I did believe her. One night, maybe a week before I found the messages, we were lying in bed and she suddenly rolled over, looked me dead in the eye, and whispered, "I'm so lucky I found you." And I believed her. I remember touching her face, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, and whispering back, "I'm not going anywhere." Now that line haunts me, because while I was making promises, she was sending goodnight voice notes to another man. While I was planning our future, she was entertaining someone else in the present. And it wasn't even about sex. That's what made it worse. It wasn't just physical cheating, it was emotional intimacy. The kind that takes time to build. The kind I thought was exclusive to us. I started noticing new things, too, now that I knew what to look for. Like how her phone was always face down when we ate. How she'd take it into the bathroom, even just to brush her teeth. How she once panicked when I almost grabbed it to change the music while driving. How did I not see it before? The truth is, I didn't want to see it. Because if I admitted it, I'd have to do something about it. I'd have to face the fact that the person I loved wasn't just flawed, she was disloyal. And I was afraid. Afraid of losing her. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of starting over. But after what I saw, how could I ever look at her the same again? How could I pretend that her laugh wasn't shared with someone else? That her compliments weren't recycled? That her time, her thoughts, her energy weren't being divided between me and a guy who wasn't supposed to matter? The memories weren't just tainted. They were ruined. And in ruining them, she ruined us. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. My mind was a hurricane, spiraling between rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. I'd read every message, seen every emoji, watched every video she'd sent him, each one chipping away at the picture I had of us. The version where I was enough. The version where she was honest. But now I had a decision to make, and time wasn't on my side. Her graduation was in 4 days. She'd been working toward this for years, and I'd promised I'd be there, sitting in the crowd, cheering her on, taking 1,000 photos, holding flowers, meeting her family. Then, right after that, we were supposed to take our first trip together, 5 days abroad. Tickets booked, hotels paid, bags almost packed. She was so excited, kept showing me outfit ideas, sent me TikToks of couple travel content saying this is gonna be a smiling face with hard eyes. Now I felt like a fraud. I was waking up every morning pretending everything was fine while hiding a secret so heavy I could barely breathe under the weight of it. How do you confront someone about betrayal when you're not supposed to know? That was the loop I was stuck in, because no matter how much I wanted to scream, I saw everything, the messages, the videos, the flirting, the emotional affair. I couldn't, because I'd looked through her phone without permission. She didn't know I knew her passcode. That one fact kept tying my hands. I could already imagine her flipping it on me. You violated my privacy. You spied on me. You don't trust me. And yeah, maybe I didn't anymore. But the betrayal started before I ever picked up her phone. I just didn't have proof until now. Still, it felt complicated, messy, like there was no version of this where I came out clean. So I started rehearsing conversations in my head. Scenario 1, I wait until after graduation. Pretend everything's fine. Smile through the ceremonies, the dinners, the photos with her family. Fly to another country with her. Spend 5 days lying through my teeth, sharing a bed with someone I no longer trusted, only to break up with her when we got back. That felt cruel. Scenario 2, I tell her now. End it before graduation. Rip off the bandage. She's devastated, but at least she knows the truth. But then I thought about her face, her family, the guests flying in, the photos she'd be in, eyes red, smile gone. Would I be the villain in her story? Scenario 3, I say nothing about the phone. Instead, I ask vague questions, test the waters, try to get her to admit something, anything. But what would that accomplish? If she was already this good at hiding it, would she suddenly confess just because I gave her a chance? Every option felt like walking through fire. I just had to pick which burns I was willing to live with. And still, a small voice inside me whispered something darker. What if she doesn't see it as cheating? That was the part that really got to me, because she hadn't physically done anything, as far as I knew. No late night sneaking around, no hotel receipts, no suspicious absences, just messages, photos, voice notes, but all of it was intimate, and that's what made it worse. She gave another man the parts of herself that were supposed to be reserved for the person she loved. Me. And maybe the worst part? She didn't think I'd notice. She didn't think I'd matter enough to find out. That stung more than anything else. I kept thinking back to our last real conversation the night before I went through her phone. We were sitting on the couch, her legs over mine, watching a documentary. Out of nowhere, she turned and said, "I've never felt more secure with anyone." And I smiled, believed her, kissed her forehead. What a joke. Now I was here, torn between timing and truth, between protecting her day and protecting my dignity. Graduation in 4 days. The trip in 7. I had 4 sunrises left to make a choice. And no matter what I did, something was going to break. For days. That's how long I had to hold it all together. To act like everything was fine. To smile when I felt like screaming. To sit across from her at breakfast, listening to her talk about her dress for graduation, the itinerary for our trip, her parents flying in, all while knowing she was someone else when I wasn't looking. I went through every stage of grief that week: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, but I never made it to acceptance. I couldn't accept it. Not yet. But I also couldn't keep pretending. I started distancing myself. Subtly at first. Not returning a kiss as quickly. Delaying texts. Turning away in bed. She noticed. One night, 2 days before her graduation, we were brushing our teeth side by side. Out of nowhere, she looked at me in the mirror and asked, "Hey, are we okay?" My hand froze. I looked at her reflection, the same girl I thought I loved, the same girl who'd been texting another man behind my back. And I lied. Yeah, just tired. She nodded, smiled softly, like she believed me, or maybe just wanted to. And that's when I realized she had no idea what was coming. The final straw came the night before her graduation. We went out for dinner with her friends, celebration drinks, laughter, loud music. She was glowing. I watched her twirl in her heels outside the restaurant, spinning like she was in a rom-com. Then I saw it. A notification. Her phone buzzed in her purse. She pulled it out without thinking. I saw his name, Mark Person Lifting Weights. She smiled at the screen, just for a second. Not the big kind of smile. Not the one she gives me when I walk in the room, but a smaller one, like a secret, and it crushed me. That night, while she showered, I sat on the bed and made a decision. No more waiting, no more fake smiles, no more pretending. I wasn't going to ruin her graduation, but I wasn't going on that trip. I drafted a note on my phone. It wasn't angry, it wasn't emotional, just honest. I saw the messages. I know everything. You crossed a line. Not once, not by accident, but repeatedly, and you hid it. I wanted to believe we were real. But you made a choice over and over to share parts of yourself with someone else. That's not love. That's not loyalty. You may not have physically cheated, but emotionally, you left a long time ago. I hope graduation goes well, but I won't be on that flight. Goodbye. I didn't send it. Not yet. The next day, I stood by her side, smiled for photos, gave her the flowers, met her parents, congratulated her, because no matter what she did, I wouldn't take that moment away from her. That day was hers, but inside I was hollow, a ghost in a nice suit. That night, after we got back to her place, she slipped into something cozy. We were supposed to finish packing. She asked me to pick a playlist for the flight. Instead, I handed her my phone. The note opened. She read it. Slowly, her face went pale. She didn't speak for a while. Then, finally, she whispered, "You went through my phone?" I just nodded. She looked at me, her eyes wide. There was no denial, no dramatic scene, no screaming, just silence. Eventually, she said, "It wasn't like that." But even she didn't sound convinced. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood up, walked to the door, and said the only thing I could. If it wasn't like that, you wouldn't be standing there speechless. And then I left. Walking away that night was the hardest thing I've ever done. I didn't know if I was angry, heartbroken, or just numb. The apartment door clicking shut behind me felt like a final punctuation mark on something I once believed would last forever. In the days that followed, I felt like I was living in a fog. Friends called, but I pushed them away. Work became a blur. I couldn't focus. Every little thing reminded me of her, the coffee mug she loved, the playlist she made, even the scent of her shampoo lingering in my clothes. But amidst the pain, I realized something. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one. One where I put myself first. One where I refused to settle for half-truths or emotional neglect. I started to heal slowly. Therapy helped, talking through the betrayal, the trust shattered, and the grief of losing someone I loved not just physically, but emotionally too. I learned that emotional cheating can cut just as deep as physical. That feeling replaced, ignored, or taken for granted hurts in ways you never expect. Eventually, I opened my heart again. Not recklessly, but with lessons learned. With boundaries clearer than ever. With trust earned, not assumed. I don't regret finding out the truth. It was painful, yes, devastating even, but ignorance wouldn't have saved me. It only would have delayed the inevitable heartbreak. Today, I'm still working on me, still learning how to love, starting with myself. And maybe one day, I'll be ready to trust again. But for now, I'm choosing honesty, even when it hurts, because that's the only way to truly move forward.